Oh, hello. Welcome into my workshop and welcome to the show Creations of Clay. My name is Louis Palladini, and tonight I'd like to do an animal that all of us are very familiar with. It's a whale. And I want to do a sperm whale, and a lot of people know this type of whale. It was made, or this was, Herman Melville mentioned at Moby Dick. There was a white whale, which was a sperm whale. And tonight I'd like to show you how to do that type of whale. It's the largest toothed whale, and it can reach about 50 or 60 feet. And I'll show you how to do that from start to finish. I will show you the types of clay that you can use. There's an oil-based clay, such as this, which never hardens. And this is, as I've mentioned in the past, I used to use this all the time as a little kid, and awesome clay to use. You just make something, and then when you get tired of it, you can just roll it up in a ball and make something else. Another type of clay that you can use is an air hardening clay, such as this, which can be bought in the art store. And it hardens like in a couple of hours or overnight, and then you can paint it. It's great for that. The only disadvantage is you won't be able to reuse the clay again. My preference for the clay is a clay called Super Sculpey, which can be baked in the oven at 275 degrees for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then you can sand it, drill it. You can make a tremendous amount of detail with this clay, and that's why I really love it. The types of clay balls we'll be using tonight are this size right here, and this is what we'll be using for the body of the whale. I have a couple of other clay balls that I made up right here. They're about this size, and those will be for the flippers. And the tail of the flukes, I'll show you. I have another ball of clay. I'll just take that off, and I'll show you how to create that. The base will be made with this size ball of clay right here, and that's what we will use. And that's what we'll proceed to make first. I will show you how to make the base, and it's similar to what we've done in the past with like the killer whale and the dolphin. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, and we're going to just put this on the table, flatten it out a little bit, and I'm going to push down on it. See, like this. And we want to kind of extend it out like this. Just kind of pull it and just extend it out. Just like that. And then you push down on it. See, I'm kind of pulling it. And you're just going to pull it like that. Just like that. Make a nice base. And we'll just pull it like that. You see, and as I've been doing this, I've been flattening out. See how nice and flat that is? We'll make a very nice base. And we'll just pull it a little bit more. And then what we'll proceed to do is we're going to take something that we have used in the past. I'm going to proceed to get a piece of tin foil over here, and we're going to use this to make the water. This can be bought like in a supermarket or drugstore, and it's a great item to use. It's a household item, but you can do a tremendous amount of detail. I will show you. We want to create the texture of the water. So what we're going to do is take this, and see how I'm just kind of just dragging that along the clay like that. See that? You just drag it, and then you kind of swivel it a little bit, and it creates a really nice structure or texture. It's going to go like that, back and forth like that. And we're going to go all around the base in this manner. And then I'll show you what it will look like when we're done. Just kind of take that and just kind of move back and forth. See how I'm moving my fingers back and forth? And you scrape it on the clay just like that. And we'll go all around, just like that. Just going to work like that. And let's see, I'm just going to double check the top, make sure I didn't skip anything. And see the really nice texture that was created by dragging that tin foil? So like I say, when you drag it, you go back and forth like that, kind of squiggle it a little bit. And that creates the really nice effect of the water and the waves. And I'll show you from both angles. See how nice that looks? Really nice texture of the water. The next step that we will take, we're going to put this aside now, and we're going to take, and I'm going to take this ball of clay here, and we're going to roll it. So I'm going to take this, and we're going to take this and roll it on the table like this. Now just like this. I'm going to roll it back and forth, just like that. and we can extend it out. What I'm going to show you is we'll look at the whale that I had made last night, and I'm going to show you, see that the base that we made, that's what we just created. But now the shape, we want to make the shape of the whale. See how you got the blunt head? And then what you're going to do is we're going to make this piece right here of the body. And that's what we're looking to create. And that's what I'm rolling on the table right now. I'll show you, we'll continue to roll this on the table, just like this. Now we've created enough for the body. See, I've got that basic shape that I want. So what I'm going to do now is just take and kind of shape the head. So we're going to take this, just kind of pinch it like this, because the head's going to be a little narrower here. So we're going to just kind of pinch, see how I'm pinching that? Just kind of make that, pinch that like that. And we're going to create the head of the whale, just like that. And now we've worked that area. See the shape that I made? See how it's a little narrower here? It gets a little wider through here, and it's narrower here. We're going to proceed to work on the tail, which is back here. So we're going to take, and I'm trying to pinch that to flatten it out, just like that. I'm going to flip it over and do the same on the other side. Just kind of take and pinch it like that a little bit. You create that nice shape. Just kind of pinch that like that. And we're creating the nice tail. Just kind of, see I'm pinching that? And I'll show you what it should look like. So now, see how that's nice and flat? See how it's nice and flat up the top? And then it's flattened out on the bottom? That's the shape that you want. And that's the underside. That's what it will look like from the side. And that's what it will look like from the right side. So we'll proceed now. I'm just going to work that a little bit more, make the head. I'll show you in the whale that I had completed. See how that whale looks? See how that's narrower, the head there, and it gets wider through here, and then it thins out there. But see that the tail? See that? And then in the bottom, it thinned out a little bit. It's a little harder to see now where it's attached at the base, but see how, and then we'll almost like put like a little dorsal fin or something on the top later, but I'll show you how to do that in a few minutes. We're going to proceed to continue making this whale. I'll just smooth it out a little bit with my fingers. And just see that? You just kind of, see how I'm just kind of smoothing it out with my fingers like that? Just go over like that, smooth it out a little bit. And we will proceed to just smooth that out like that. Now what I want to do is I want to make the flippers, and I'll show you what the flippers look like. See these flippers right here? We want to make these flippers here for both sides. And that's what they kind of look like from the side. See how they're nice and narrow? And that's what they'll look like from the side. We'll proceed to make those two flippers. So I'm going to take these balls of clay here. And what you want to do is you want to take and pinch it between your fingers like this. See how I'm pinching that to flatten it out? So you just kind of take and pinch it between your two fingers, flatten it out nicely. And then, and see the shape that I'm creating? I want to make something in that shape, like that. So you just keep pinching, flatten it out, just like that. And we're going to proceed to make the other one. And we'll do the exact same thing for the other side. So I'm going to take this ball of clay here, and we're going to start to pinch it, just like that. See how we're making it nice and flat, just like that. Make it nice and flat. And then what I want to do is make sure they're approximately the same size. So see when we compare these now, see the size? They're approximately the same size, which is good. And now we'll proceed to put those on the whale. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, in the whale here, we're going to go approximately down to here. Don't worry about the proportions, or if they're a little off, that's fine. It's just, you're learning some new techniques here. So we're going to take, and see how I place that on there? So just take with your finger and just kind of work that in like that. And then what we can also do is, I'm going to use another tool here, the toothpick. You can buy these in the supermarket. I like these ones here because they got the double edge or double edge point. And you can take and work this from the other side. So under here, just take and kind of push the clay from the flipper into the body, just like that. That way you can make sure it's properly attached. And then I would do it on this side, and then I would do it from this side. Just like that. And we're going to proceed to place the other flipper on the other side. So we'll take this flipper, and we're going to place this. I want to make sure it's approximately in the same location. So how I look at that? And I'm going to place this one over this side. So I'll kind of push that in like that. See how we're taking, just work that in like that. So I'm just taking my finger, working that flipper up against the side. And then what we'll do is we'll take our toothpick again, like I said, and go underneath and just kind of work that clay from the flipper in like that to make sure it's properly attached. Just like that. Very easy to do. And now we'll proceed. I want to take a look, make sure my whale, I'm just going to check the head. I'm going to smooth it out a little bit more because there's some rough areas here. So I'm just going to smooth, just taking my finger, kind of smoothing it like that. And then the next thing that we want to do is I want to create the tail or the flukes, and I'll show you how to do that. The flukes, or the tail of the whale, are these two pieces here. See these? So we're going to get some clay and make these pieces here, and that's the tail. When the whale moves his tail up and down, that helps propel him through the water. So we're going to take I have some extra clay over here, and I'm going to take and get a ball of clay here, and this is called the additive technique. I just want to make sure I have the right size. I'm going to get a couple of balls of clay, and then we'll figure it out. When I go to make the fluke or the tail, we'll see if it's the right size. If it isn't, we can add some clay. But what I'll do is I have a couple of balls of clay approximately this size, and we'll start with those. And if they're not the right size, we'll just add more clay. But I'm going to take this. I'll show you the shape that we want. We want to see this shape here? This is the shape that we want to make each one of those flukes. So I'll proceed to make this one, and then I'll proceed to make that one, then we'll attach them to the tail. So we'll take this, and I'm going to make that shape. So see, I'm flattening it out with my fingers. Just like that. Make it nice and flat. And then I'll show you the shape that we want. And I'll see if it's the right size. Let's see, just like that. So see how I flatten that out nicely. But see the shape? That's the shape you want. Then that's what it will look like from the bottom. And what we'll proceed to do is I want to see if it looks approximately the right size. And we're going to take and attach this here. I think it looks good. So we'll take and attach the tail like this. See, I'm kind of working, pulling that clay down and attaching it. And you can take the thumb and kind of work that clay like that. What I will also like to do too is take the toothpick and just kind of take and work that. See, I'm kind of bringing the clay like that, just working it like that. That way we know it's firmly attached. And you do the same thing on the bottom. So we'll flip that. See, I'm taking the toothpick and kind of pushing that clay up against the tail. And now we'll proceed to make the other side. We'll take, and I'm going to take and make that shape again. So flat, see, I'm flattening this out nicely. And just keep working it just like that. And we're going to make the other tail, or the other fluke. Just like that. Flatten it out like that. And just like that. We'll work it. And I want to see if it's approximately the right size. I'm going to compare it to the tail here. And see how those side by side? They look like they're approximately the right size. So I'll continue to make this fluke and then we will attach it. Just like that. And I'll take now, and I'm going to take and place it on the other side of this tail, right here. And we're going to work that in like that. See, I'm just kind of taking, working that clay, and we're going to take the toothpick and work it together. Just like that. I want to kind of make sure that they're at the right size. You can take and pull it down with the clay here. See, I'm kind of pulling that down a little bit. You can do that on the other side. And then we can do that in the bottom. And you can also use the toothpick like we had in the past. One of the things I want to do is just double check now. Make sure that it looks like it's about the right size. If the proportion's a little off, don't worry about it. You can always correct them. The more you practice with the clay, the better you get with it. And then, and then there's other ways of using other tools to make sure that the proportions are even more accurate. But see how we just created that tail? It's pretty close, size-wise. And we'll proceed to attach this to the base in a minute. But I want to make one more thing. We want to make the lower jaw on the whale. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. A sperm whale, right here, you have this lower jaw. See that little jaw there? We will make that lower jaw, and then we'll attach it to the whale. But we're going to take the additive technique and add that piece. I'm going to proceed to take a piece of clay off here and see if get a ball of clay. I think this might be approximately the right size. I like to roll it and start off with the clay ball. But I think this size right here probably be about right here. So then what we're going to do is I'm going to take this now, and I'm just going to create the shape of the jaw and see if it's the right size. If it's too big, we'll take a little of the clay away. But I want to see, I'm like making the shape. This is the shape that you want to create. See that? And we just kind of extend it out. Just like that. Just keep working it. Just like that. And I'm going to see if I think it's too big for the whale. It looks like it's about roughly the right size. And what we're going to do is take this now, this jaw, and we're going to attach it here. And so what I will do is just take and work this in like this. Just take and push that in and work it. Just like that. It's very good. They do that. And now we'll take and just kind of work it in. Take your fingers, see I'm just attaching it, and then we'll leave the jaw slightly open. See that? And then another thing that I want to do is we want to create the eye. So we'll make that eye approximately here. I'll do that. We'll do that approximately here. Like that. See that? And just take and use the toothpick, create the eye. See the eye that we just created? And what I'd like to do is line that up on the other side. So I'm going to go over here and make sure it lines up approximately with the other side. So they want to make sure they're in the right place. You take the toothpick and just kind of go put it in and rotate it. And I will look at the other eye. I want to make sure that they're both the same size. Again, so say work that a little bit. See how we created that nice little eye? And we created the eye on the other side. And then there's one other thing that we want to create is there's a blowhole or spout for, a lot of times it looks like they're spouting water, but they're not. It's actually vapor. I'm going to take the toothpick and kind of stick this in at the top here and just create a little blowhole there. And it's to the left of the head. That's the location that you'll make it in. And now we will proceed to attach this to the base. So I want to take this, the base, and we'll take and kind of push these together. See what I'm doing? I'm just taking and pushing these two together. See, I'm trying to work that. And what we can do also is I can take the toothpick, which I think is important, you can take the toothpick, and what I would do is take it and run it along the base here and kind of push that clay up against the whale and the water together. Just take that. See how I'm just kind of running that in there? And we'll do the same on the other side to make sure that they're attached. So we take that right there and just roll it just like that. And another thing that we want to do is, now that we've done that, is I'll take and I'll squeeze these together a little bit more, because I think that it'll be nice. So now that's what the finished sculpted whale will look like. See, that's what it will look like from the top, the back. And that's your, well, there's one other detail I would like to add. I did show you some other features. I just remembered that they almost have like a little dorsal fin on the back here. And then I also want to rough up this area with lines. As you can, I don't know if you can see the detail, but there's like little lines along the body. We will add those extra couple of features, and then the sculpture will be finished. I do want to add those. We'll take a little piece of clay off here. It's going to be very small, about that size. And we're going to put that for the dorsal fin up here. See this? I'm going to add that little dorsal fin there. Just like that. I'll show you. It's very small, very slight. And just kind of work the clay into the back. Just like that. So that's what the little dorsal fin will look like. See that? And like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to make some lines along the side of the whale. So take your toothpick and run them. Just kind of make little squiggly lines like this. See how I'm just kind of running that along there? You're going to do that on both sides. Just like that. You want to rough it up a little bit. And we're going to proceed. You want to do that on both sides. You know, to give it some texture for the skin. See, I'm just kind of running that along and run it to the tail. And you're going to do that all along the length of the body. Just from about roughly the flipper, from here down from the flipper. So just kind of make those little squiggly lines. And I'll show you how they should look. It's more pronounced on the whale that I had painted. But you might be able to see this texture a little better. See these lines? There's like little squiggly lines there. And that's what we're trying to create. We want to create that on the sculpture we just made. I will proceed to show you how to paint the sculpture now. We'll take and put this aside, and we're going to use acrylic paints, which can be bought in the art store. These are the types of paints that you want to buy. And I will show you the colors that you want. I do have some extra paints, so I will proceed to use these first. You want to use gray for the color of the whale. You want to use white for the water. You want to use blue for the water, a dark blue, and you want to use a light blue. And then there's a couple of other colors I do want to take out of here that I want to proceed to use. I want to use black for the eye. And I think that will about cover it for the colors. So we'll proceed to put this aside. And we will get our paint brushes, and I'll show you which types of brushes to use. For the body of the whale, I think we'll use this size brush here. It's a bigger brush. For the water, we can use this size brush here. It's a bigger brush. And then for some of the smaller work, like the eyes, I want to get a smaller brush for the eye. This brush here seems to have a nice little point. So I want to use that for the eye. We'll use that particular brush. So we'll get started. And I'll show you, we're going to start with the dark blue paint first. And we'll proceed to paint that. I've shown you this technique before. It's a very good one. we want to take and paint the water. So what I want to do is take the brush here, and we're going to paint the water. So what you want to do is you'll paint this, you go back and forth, like this, back and forth, back and forth. We'll paint the base just like that. And proceed to paint the entire, see that how we paint that? Nice, give a really nice base, nice ocean blue color. And just go back and forth, just like that. And you want to do that to both sides. You also want to proceed to paint the blue over here. So back and forth, just like that. You'll proceed to do this, back and forth, And then I'll just quickly finish to see how that back and forth. And we'll paint that. The next color that we want to paint is we're going to use a light blue. And I'll show you what we're going to do with that. We'll take this light blue and we will paint. It'll make the water a little lighter. So what you're going to do is we're going to dab it. So when you see this here, we're going to just dab it in different places. Just dab it here and there to give it that light blue color. I'm going to take and do that. Just going to dab it. Just ever so slightly. And then we're going to proceed to do the other side. Do the same thing. Just dab it in different places. Just like that. And then we'll proceed to use the white. Just going to clean up the brush a little bit. And then we'll use white. I'm going to take this now. I'm going to dab this in. Here. And now what you want to do is just ever so slightly touch the base in different places. Just dab it here and there. Just dab. And we'll do the same for the other side. We'll get a little more paint. I'm just going to dab. See, we're just dabbing. Ever so slightly. And dab that in a little bit. So it gives you a really nice texture. See how with the white, the light blue, and the dark blue? And I'll show you the completed whale in a minute, but we'll proceed to do some more colors on the whale. The next color that we want to paint is we're going to paint the whale gray. So I'll show you how to do that. So we'll take this and I'll flip it. We're going to paint the tail first. So you're going to go back and forth with the paint. Back and forth, just like that. And then we'll go back and forth, just like that. And proceed to paint the top of the tail. When I flip it, see that? Back and forth, just like that. And then we'll proceed to, you want to paint the entire whale that color. I'll show you how to paint. Just go back and forth in this motion. Just like that. You can paint the entire whale in that manner. You know, don't worry if you get some paint on what you just painted for the water. You can always just touch it up afterward. But I'll show you. See how we're going back and forth? Just like that. And then we do the flippers in that manner. And the next thing I want to show you is how to do the eyes. So we'll proceed to do the eyes. And so what I'll do is just dab this in the paint. And we're going to take the whale now, and ever so slightly, see the eye right here? I'm just going to dab it in here just a little bit. Just like that. Then we'll proceed to do the other side. I'll do the same thing. Don't worry if it gets on the whale a little more, if it doesn't, if you got more in the, like with the eye areas, if you get it, you smudge it a little too much, you can always go back and put the gray over it. So I'm going to show you, just kind of push this in and dab it. And that's how you would do the eye. I will show you what the completed whale should look like. And when you are finished, I'll show you how it should look. See this with the dark blue, the light blue, and the white? See the nice texture of the paint? You know, it all blends in, and it looks like the ocean. And then we proceeded to do the same to the other side. And it really had a really nice effect. And then you can see the black eye. And you can see that nice texture when we're making the lines. And then you can see from the other side, the eye and the nice texture. And that's what the finished whale will look like. So I do hope you enjoyed the show Creations in Clay tonight. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. And goodbye for now. Hi kids, how would you like to win some professional modeling clay like the one that I use in the show? Please send pictures of your creations in clay and we will enter them into a drawing. You can send by mail or email, and I can't wait to see what you've been up to.